Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Good Vibes Only podcast brought to you by GVO Entertainment. I'm your host with the most, not host with your most. I don't mean the blood clot sense.
I love it.
My name is Shak Mancel James. You might also know me as your MCM, your WCW's MCM. They also call me Short Body, Long Legs. Bare shit, bro. I'm known in these streets. But so welcome to the podcast. This is a brand new format. If you know me from the TBH podcast before, it's very different to that. We might have Fred and Michael in at some point, but we don't know. So what's this podcast about? Basically, my whole premise here right now is trying to bring some light to people who are self-employed, freelancers, who do loads of different professions. Maybe that's the creative industry, maybe that's business, maybe that's football industry. Just trying to give young people, young professionals, young adults, teenagers, just a bit of insight of their options. I feel like so much time now, especially the way we grow up, there's not really many. I don't really remember seeing so many options given to me. It was like football, make money, sell football, music, or sell drugs. Like that was it. That was it. It took me taking myself out of that situation by complete chance, going into near Headington Girls' School, private school in Oxford. I did a one of those like summer camp things there, and I remember walking past a room and hearing like some kids singing, and like, what the hell's that? I want to do that. And then next thing you know, I'm in Stagecoach. Do you know what I mean? At like 7. But that's not how many people fall into things, for sure. But I don't think sometimes it gets to a point where they've missed the boat, or it's too late now. And I think my biggest thing is that I feel like everyone has a talent or has something that they can offer to the world. Sometimes they just need to figure out what it is. And just giving them different options. You know, if you don't want to be can't be a footballer, maybe you're not quite as technically gifted, but you can be a football coach, a football agent. You might want to go into like football commentary. A lot of different things you can do. So it's just like giving people access to options is the main premise of this. If you are into these kind of conversations and you want to see more of these conversations, please like and subscribe on these pictures and these videos. Please like these videos.
It's about to get hype.
Trust me, it's already hype. We're in an undisclosed location in somewhere in the world. So please, like, subscribe, tick the notification bell, all that rubbish that they say you have to do on YouTube. Apparently it's really important. One thing I know is really important is comments. It's good for the algorithm, apparently.
Absolutely
so
screaming.
Make sure that you're commenting down there. Anything we say, you've got an opinion on, good, bad, ugly, just make sure it's there. I'll respond if I can. If I don't want to respond, I'm not going to respond. Simple as.
Simple.
We want to do, this is a very special occasion because it's like the first time we get to do a recorded show in this location. The situation is right now, if I'm honest, this will be like one and done for a while until we're able to get the funds to do that. So we need you guys as much as possible. If you like this kind of stuff, you want to see it in this format as much as possible, I need your help. There's going to be a Cash App in the description.
Support.
Whatever you can give, come and support some black business, innit? Come on, run the thing up. We're trying to shed light to some more black businesses and some more working class businessmen and people. So that's kind of it, really. That's all I had to say about that. Let's talk to the people I've got in today. So I've got my people here. I'm not going to do some mad emotional, like extra, like it's not industry. It's not industry. You're gonna have to hold your mics a bit closer sometimes when you're talking.
Is this better?
That is better.
Is this better?
Yeah, that is much better. So I've got my boy Kuan Frye in. I've got Hinds in. We've got Reece Darlington-Delaire. He's gonna come in. He's just moving. He's moving all shook. He's got his work to do. He's filming this for us right now. And the truth is he can't be here all the time because he's a busy man and everyone wants him. He's a very in-demand filmmaker right now. So I'm very lucky to have him right now. So if you want more camera stuff, more of these lights and the incense that ain't even working and a whole heap of fuckery like that, I need help. So subscribe. Let's keep this thing running. I'm going to keep going as much as possible. Yeah. Cool. So let's just do like just a normal thing, just an icebreaker thing. Then we're going to get more into like you guys and like what you do and like how we all know each other as well. So my icebreaker, and it's going to be something I ask to everyone. If you are only allowed one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? And then the second question is, if you're only allowed to listen to one album, any genre, what would it be and why? And listen, if we're not happy, we're going to have to debate it as well. So.
You go first.
You go first.
I have a problem with going first. Okay, I'll go first. I think the album was a bit easier for me to figure out. But the food I didn't really think of, to be honest. So this is a very honest answer. I think why every day though, fam? That's just
Come on, yeah, on the spot. That's how it works.
This is really awkward. Okay, I think I will actually eat like chicken teriyaki fucking
Come on.
chow mein.
Come on. Yeah.
Noodles every fucking day. I actually would. Why? Because I feel like it has everything that I like in it.
Yeah.
Which is protein. It has the veggies, which I don't like to be fucking overcooked. Wait, can you curse?
Yeah, of course. I've been cursing this whole time. This is my show, bro. It's my platform. I think after a certain time I think you can be censored up to a while, and then you're calm after a certain timestamp. So I think we passed that time ago.
Yeah, we figure out as we go on. Guys, forgive my voice. I sound like a frog who's been swallowed by another frog.
Isn't it? Trust me.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm here. It's the energy that I bring.
Come
Bless
on.
you. So yeah, it has the protein, the veg, and I like noodles for some reason. The album, now, because I like peace a lot, one of my favorite jazz artists has always been Esperanza Spalding. And she has had an album she released under her name, Esperanza. And I think it tells such a beautiful love tale. And she includes so many different cultures and languages. And for some reason, when I listen to that, I can create from that space.
Yeah.
Or the energy of love for me is generated when I listen to the album, which I think I need in order to go on.
Yeah.
In my life,
yeah, for sure.
every day, which
For
I
sure.
think would be probably the best album. They have albums that I love, but I don't know if it would give me that type
The same
of
kind of motivation
longevity.
to keep
Yeah.
going. I hear it.
So yeah, chow mein and Esperanza.
Come on. I'll go next just for...
Please.
Yeah.
I should have gone first, but I was on put people on the spot today. So all right, my meal is do you know you say it and you go to say it and you think about
But this is what I'm saying. You
okay, so with chest, oxtail, rice and peas,
One.
because that is just like that's the ultimate one. Like you can't go wrong with that.
Cannot.
My album.
So you're gonna eat oxtail for the rest of your life?
Oxtail. Do you know what? And furthermore,
Oxtail, that's so
meat.
and furthermore,
that's a very interesting.
I could just do the oxtail by itself, allow the rice and peas, just give me the oxtail. I could deal with
Very
that rest of
interesting
my
choice.
life.
Yeah, go on.
But my album is definitely like Usher Confessions. I love that album, bro.
Ooh.
I love the album from like start to finish. There's not a moment in the album where I'm like, okay, I'm not enjoying it anymore. I like when I listen to that. The only issue is when I listen to that in my car, I feel like sometimes I just feel I don't feel safe. Like I'm just driving reckless. As soon as you hear certain tunes, it's just like. But yeah, that's it.
Are you one of those people that like go? You listen to music, you drive, or you get really deep in your thoughts? Like,
No, I just think depending on the
start
song,
missing signs and stop signs and shit. Like.
I think depending on the song, mainly like one thing is I'll miss stop signs if I'm doing a live concert in the car.
I'm screaming.
That's what will happen. We'll miss the turn.
It's a live
So
concert.
certain songs can't be happening certain tunes can't be running in the car because I'll be Usher for the whole journey, and then next thing you know we're in York. So it's
I'm screaming.
But I think definitely I think I drive how the song makes me feel as well. So like if it's like a Anderson .Paak song, we're gonna get back quite quick. We're gonna get back quicker than if we were listening to like Gregory Porter. Do you know what I mean? Gregory Porter is like what you're listening to on the drive home at night. Anderson .Paak you might put on if you're driving to the event and you're running late and you got to go from London to Oxford. You might have to put on some heavy drum patterns and just get there.
I hear that.
But yeah, those are mine. Kuan.
Nice. Yeah, I'm on the same wave as Shak still, I can't lie. Not the oxtail, rice and peas, but defo, the ackee and saltfish, dumpling, plantain,
Okay.
slice of avocado on the side.
Okay.
That meal right there,
That is
you
very
put that
wholesome.
nicely
That
on
is
a
so
plate.
specific as well.
I
Do you
can
know what
have
you
that
want?
every single day,
Yeah.
easily.
Calm.
You know what? You're actually making me want to change my
It's just like,
I'm like, I don't think it's that sustainable. Like, what you
That's
actually
what I'm
show,
saying,
fam.
bro. Like you can have that every day, bro, and gain from it, fam.
yeah,
There's so many different
that's a
ways.
shout. That's a shout.
You get 10 points.
Come on.
Your first 10 points.
And then the album, I reckon, Lauryn Hill, Miseducation.
Oh,
That album, yeah, I can. It's just every single emotion, bro.
yeah.
Just in one, bro, and it
Yeah,
never
for
gets
everything.
old.
I
Can
remember.
never get old.
I remember I was in the dressing room, and I was skipping through tunes like recently, and the fucking guitar from To Zion came on. I skipped past it. Went, nah, bro, please go back.
Yeah.
So it was so emotional.
And she's lit. There was an MTV live version that she did. I can't remember what it's called. But I always listen to it. I always forget the title as well. But that also, I think they actually like came down harder on her because it was like she was so real, and it was like this very intimate setting. They were like, her voice was cracking, and it just felt like it wasn't professional. But I think she was at a time in the industry where so many people had betrayed her, and it was like, but I started with my music, and trust I'm gonna fucking end with it. And I feel like there was so much emotion. There was so many mistakes as well. I remember she was stopping and starting over, but it became a part of this song.
Yeah.
And not just this song, but the sound as well. That I think I resonate as Lauryn Hill. So I mean, come on, fuck off, man. You got some good choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're annoying.
Change
Yeah,
yours.
trust me.
I'm not changing mine. I'm standing by mine. Okay.
Reece, you better come and put your 2 cents in right now. No, come here. Come sit down.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two can share. Everyone in? Yeah, come on. Cozy settings.
Okay, so I guess food would be probably jerk chicken and rice.
Yeah, come on.
Rice and peas. An album, I have Acoustic Soul.
Just watch the yeah, that way.
Acoustic Soul, India RE. Or, no, to be fair, I'll stick with that actually because that's just somber, you know? I think Confessions would get me on like a hype thing every single day.
Yeah.
And I think I just need something a bit more chill. But I would pick Confessions as well, but I think Acoustic Soul is stronger.
That's nice. Yeah. I think sometimes you do need like, for me, I know that you have to pick what's good for you as well. Like I know that a lot of my life I need to pick me up. And if I can find a pick me up through music, then that's better than, you know, other means.
You know, this crazy thing is like I feel everyone's options are so diverse. But I feel like here's the thing. I really need to feel like I could get through my life because the question is album or a fucking song. Sorry, an album or a meal that you would use for the rest of the day. And I'm just like, some things really motivate me and I can absorb energy like too much. So if I listen to something that's like a rock alternative, I can potentially like get to a place where I just feel a bit too chaotic. Even if I really love that artist or I love that album, or even if it's like a really passionate, like good body of work, sometimes I think my mind gets so absorbed by the sound and the music that I feel like I have to just maintain like a balanced space.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's interesting because hearing all of your choices is like also, because I also know these guys outside this space, right? But it's interesting because it tells me a lot about who you are and it redefines what you are, because it's like, I now see why, like when I deal with certain situations, why I have to deal with it in such a isolated, peaceful ways, because that's where I find my creative energy. And this is the point I'm getting to. We all find our creative energy in different ways and in different spaces and at different frequencies.
Exactly.
And I think it's very interesting that we know that, because then when we talk about collaborating with each other, we know how to make each other spark. Because like when we're in the fucking studio, it's different. Like sometimes I'm so quiet, just doing my thing in the corner, but you're up on your feet, running around, hopping around. But that's how you're getting it done. By the end of the day, something beautiful. And Kuan, just sitting down so chill, flipping through, balancing our energy so well. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But I think that is beautiful because then it goes back to the choices that we made as to how we would be sustainable for the rest of our lives.
Yeah,
if I was to listen to this music or if I was to consume this meal. Yeah, it just sound like interesting. So yeah.
And that's a good segue to talk about how we all know each other. We all know each other through work. We're all doing different. Some of us are doing different things now. Some of us moved on to bigger things. But we all knew each other. We worked together in theatre. I'm not gonna go into what show or anything. I'm keeping. This is our space. We worked together in the theatre. We all met through that. I was wondering about talking about everyone's like individual journeys towards theatre and how that came about. I know the three of us have similar but also different. Joanne, I'm interested to hear yours because you're coming from Barbados as well, and just like how you found yourself. Well, just I know you've been doing it from young, but just that talk on how we got to this position where you are now. In fact, my main thing, right, what I'm trying to ask right now is how did you get to where you are now, where your main source of income is something that you are that's artistic, and as a freelancer, how did you get to this position?
Oh my God.
It's a deep. It doesn't have to be as deep a question as it sounds.
No, it's deep.
But it is
already.
deep.
Yeah. Because I honestly I feel like it's a conversation I always have with myself, but then more recently with others, which is I feel like the way how I've had to go about my life, unfortunately, but I just had to navigate it differently because it just had certain things that just weren't as clean cut. So a lot of my creative or approaches to my career where I'm now was legit learning how to navigate around situations, which I think in a way is creative already. But yeah, to answer the question more directly, I think my journey for me was a lot more tied to my life more than my career. I think as life evolved, my career also evolved. And because I've always been so heavy on making sure that I enjoy whatever I do, I think I saw so many people around me not enjoying what they did. And I also was in a space where I wasn't enjoying what I did, and I know how that made me feel. And I really went after that. But I never realized that what I was also going after was that pure, most honest feeling. And I think learning and having to build a relationship with that feeling led me into spaces that at the time I didn't always know why, but then it made sense because it was it was predestined, I believe in higher power, higher source, higher energy. So I think, to be honest, coming from Barbados, because that's where I was born. Nigerian and Ghanaian heritage, of course. Most of us should have some.
Probably are, yeah.
But we're not going to get into that
We never
conversation.
know, but most likely.
We don't want to scare you guys away yet. But yeah, starting in Barbados, obviously it's a small country. Literally, it's not that many people. But for some reason, I felt and I don't know, maybe it was just, again, that creative energy, the idea that I could do so much more than just what is around me. And I think I had to kind of prove that to myself every day. So it would have started out with just legit church, I guess, was probably the most theatrical form of life at the time when I was young, because there's so much drama in church. Drama, legit actual activity, but also just too much shit. I've experienced the shit side of that, unfortunately. But my joy and passion, I think, would have come from that space where I realized when you give energy out and you open, there's something that you receive. And I feel like that's kind of what people call the relationship with God. Yeah. And I feel I experienced that from church. So not coming out, but being also very much involved in secular groups, because I was doing African dancing. I was still, doing my little, I started ballet from 7 years old. Come on. I was doing all sorts of different things because there was just a lot of creative energy. You need to figure out what to do with it. Yeah. So, growing up, obviously I was able to then see a bit more for myself. I was like, okay, how I want to take myself forward and do what I want to do. Still very young, but I went to school and I always I would always try to be doing like med. I would be doing like med and arts all the time. Like all my subjects, even leading up to right before I did right before I went to like university, I was still trying to figure out how we're gonna do like both med and art, because I'm like, I just wanna. I was like, fuck it, it makes sense. I think, and then I moved forward, and I went into university. I was like, I'm gonna study theater. Kept working with different groups, different artists. I think because I was performing dancing wise, I think people knew me as a performer, so that kind of helped me get into certain spaces where I was supporting other artists a lot. So I think I got to see, which again goes back to what I was saying. It was more of a life experience for me more than, oh, this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Or this is what I learned legit. I learned how to craft my life together. So by the time, I graduate, and I'm like, I'm not going to become just another artist who graduate with a degree and do nothing with it. I was like, I just, this deep desire to figure out my life, no matter what came upon me. That sounds so biblical. But I don't know. I just felt like if I had to just sleep on the floor, I would.
Yeah.
And I still have it in me right now talking to you. If I had to sleep on the floor, I would, to get to the next step.
Yeah.
And I think I had to, a part of me had to just accept, like, okay, maybe I don't have aunts and aunties who put in the work, generations before. And I still have, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have that. The resources wasn't right there all the time.
Yeah.
But I also had to not blame myself for not having those resources and just act upon it. Yeah. And I remember one of the first major jumps that I made was, if I'm talking too much, let me know.
No, it's
one of the very first jumps that I made was in Trinidad. When I moved to Trinidad, after I finished my degree, I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to go back to Barbados, because I just feel like there's a lot of things that I have made multiple steps, for it to, it's like sexuality, spirituality, family situation, the dynamic between my family situation had changed. I remember in Trinidad, I came up to my parents as well. I was like, this is who I am. This is the life that I live. But whatever stereotypical views that you have in your mind about who that person is, don't just leave it at the door, because I am uniquely me. I think I then was like, I need to, I guess, prove to myself, but also to my family and others for some reason, that I am way more than what I think people think of me. And I think that maybe became a bit toxic at some point. But it was also the real life situation of the trauma that comes with trying to build your life up as an artist. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't like to talk about, especially now in these times, like being a creative artist or someone who just creates. We've been exploited for so long.
Yeah, and the market as well is like oversaturating.
Exactly.
Because like everyone does it now.
Exactly.
And I think you spend all that, I think, especially like you look at social media now and you have all these like, you see everyone doing well at everything at all times. So it can be quite daunting now as a creative to be like, oh God, like my thing's not doing what they're doing. Like I think my biggest thing of like, for example, doing this is that like, I watch so many podcasts. So when this initial idea was to jump into this, it was like, oh yeah, but it's not going to have the same quality as like a HC pod. It's not going to be as funny as Filthy Fellas if the quality is not as good. But actually the content's what matters.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it takes away the value of everything. But in actual fact, you just need to focus on where you're heading to.
Yeah.
So and I think that's what led me to just say like, fuck it, like I don't care what happened. I'm gonna just keep creating. I remember, so Trinidad was the space where I did my first EP, and I was like, I'm gonna just keep getting into a rhythm of creating, no matter what. Even if I finish off my degree, I was trying to figure, I can just keep creating. I wasn't gonna go back home, so I stayed in Trinidad. I remember I was just like living by some friends, I was just like staying and popping around.
Yeah, I was gonna say about moving and like staying out once you moved out, because I did the same when I moved from Oxford. I've not lived back in Oxford since.
Bro. And
it's something about that, like it feels like a chapter closing. You have to close that chapter sometimes. Yeah. You can't stay in your own, especially if you have the luxury of like growing up in London or living near enough to London that you can commute. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of the fact that you can, especially as a creative, that you can live at stay at your parents or so you have less bills to pay. That's like I would expect most people probably still pay their parents' rent and stuff if they get to a certain age. But it's just like there's a little less pressure on you when you know that like your stuff's sorted. Like I know if I was still living with my mum, I know food is not an issue. It's not fun. So food's not something I think about.
Right.
I give my mum money for the food, but like making sure that I'm eating. Do you know what I mean? It's not something I'm worrying about. Do you know what I mean? Just general things. I know like I'll be paying rent, but I probably wouldn't be paying the rent I'm paying now. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I think, but on the flip side of that, when you're in a city where it's not offering you anything, like if like I honestly would say to anyone who wants to make it somewhere in like Oxford, in the creative field, be it in media, be it in theatre, you're probably better off trying to get yourself closer to London or Manchester, depending on what you do. If you want to work in TV and film, or you want to work in film in general and want to be in or in TV studios, go move to Manchester.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to live there as well. You probably save a lot more money than trying to stick there and do your thing here.
You gotta take risks. Like, I feel like it's all about taking risks. I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned from I was like, yo, I will take a risk. And I haven't stopped. Taking that risk allowed me to land the audition in Trinidad before they even got to Barbados. Yeah, call me. You know what I mean? So it's like, shit. Imagine if I was like, after I graduate, let me just go back to Barbados.
Yeah, exactly.
That spot would have been taken.
Yeah,
because they did the audition in Trinidad first. So it's like also knowing time and place and being what when opportunity meets preparation. I feel like I didn't know, but somewhat that's the type of approach that I would have had in my life. Yeah. So up to this point, I mean, did moved to the UK, did my thing, and then again the need for expansion came. The need for me to solidify my life in a different way came, and I couldn't make the choice like anyone else because I wasn't anyone else. Again, and as a creative, what are the choices that you're gonna make that are gonna really define who you are? And I think like no matter where you are in life or no matter what opportunities you have, that question still needs to be answered. And I feel like the UK was a space that really brought a sense of liberty, freedom, but also definition. And I really appreciate that. So now, on the road to Burner, supporting my guy, and it's a beautiful opportunity. I think being around the band and the team is like there's a lot that I learned, but at the same time, it's a life that's happening for me, and I see how again the choices that I've made really does influence my creative. The choices that I've made really do influence my creative choices, and my creative decisions, and the projects that I want to go after or what I want to talk about. So I think from young, I think just knowing, this is the type of energy that I'm bringing. Yes, I could, maybe adapt to society and do what they want, but I also know that there's something deeper inside of me that wants me to say something, and maybe I need to figure it out. And we all have to figure it out, and we find different ways of figuring it out. You know what I mean? Us sitting down here is us figuring it out as well. Yeah. So I definitely resonate with all of it, like taking risks, being able to define yourself as a creative, knowing that being a creative is absolutely okay. By the way, I think people want to say, "Oh, creative and this and that is fine." Yeah. Like if that makes you sleep at night, it's fine. Yeah, whatever you want. But I know the value that I carry because there's not many people like us who could walk into a space and be able to find what it is that needs to, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like that's profound in my mind. Yeah, and I was gonna ask you guys as well. One thing I want to ask you, Reece, mainly because we both went through a drama school route as well. We are both like the three of us. We did child stuff in the West End, like in the same stuff. So we there's a kind of almost an education in that, which we will go into probably in more depth another episode when we'll actually talk about this specific show. But I wanted to talk about the drama school route with you, and actually just kind of, in fact, you can probably chime in as well, Kuan, this kind of thing of like the training aspect and how important the training is and how much they tell you the training is important, and then like you come out and a lot of people haven't trained, they just turn up and they've done it.
do you think? I guess my question is: do you think that drama school is always, or even like university to a certain extent, is always necessary? And in your very specific situation, what has drama school given to you, and what has drama school kind of hindered?
I guess like for me, thinking about training and everything, like I think the word necessary is a good word to use, because I don't think it's necessary, but like you need like necessary influences to make you a creative or to make you train. So whether that's looking at musicals or whether that's looking at other artists or just being around a lot of performers, that could be your training. But I don't know, for me, training was a very interesting place to navigate, because I felt like I wasn't training like what I should have been training. I was more training how to navigate as a black boy in a white industry. Because when we was training in school, we were young, like we were going to predominantly white schools. I don't know whether it was the same for you, but when I was at Conti, it was extremely white. I was like one of 3 black people in the whole 5 years from 7 to year 11. So I felt like that I wasn't really thinking about me as a performer. I was subconsciously fitting into this world. And then for college, I guess it was slightly different because I was around a lot more black people. But again, I was training a persona. I was training an ego. I was training...
You're training like almost like that insert drama school here's student.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, it's so like, you like this whole thing of like publicity and how we showcase ourselves. It's like we have this headshot and this CV, and it's like, that's me. That's my look. That's my smolder. And that's how I'm going to walk into the room. And it's like, it's kind of, in a way, it is kind of bullshit, because you're basically making us pigeonholed in this character that you want to employ us for. So I think what I'm trying to understand in this industry is to navigate how you want to navigate and your frequency, and that being okay. I don't have to, as long as we can do the job on stage, the way how I walk into a room and have to laugh at every director's joke and have to have a thick smile on my face and having to do all these things that were implemented in training. I'm starting to kind of unlearn
Strip
that.
back from that. And I think that happens with age with a lot of performers. I think like the older you get as a performer, you start to realize that like this shit just isn't real. Like, it's not real life. And like you start to become a bit more real life. I think you talk to like for example, the principals in like the show we're in, the older ones, they don't get involved in drama. They're always happy and they just get on with it. Do you know what I mean? Because they understand what life is. It's kids and it's all these other things, you know. I wanted to circle back talking about drama schools again, because obviously you went to like a drama school as a kid. How did you find that as a child? And then let's talk about doing like music college as well. How much same question I posed with Reece, but for a different format. Do you feel like you gained a lot, or do you feel like there was things that you could have done that you just didn't need from there, or things that hindered you while you're out there?
I feel like going to drama school, I thought like I was gonna get what I needed to get just as what was shown and what was given to me. Do you know what I mean? Like I used to see kids doing what they were doing, and I wanted to be the same. Do you know what I mean? So I was thinking, yeah, cool, drama school. But I think after going and spending years there, obviously school years there, I kind of got the whole thought of it as it's just what you make it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you can think it's necessary, you can think it's not. And for a lot of people, it might not be. And that's fine. For a lot of people, it can be, and that's fine. But those people have made it what they made it for themselves. Yeah. And I feel like what I did for myself, of course, that I was the same way. Like there was not that much black people in the school that I went to. But I didn't let that really affect me like that. Yeah. And I remember I knew that it was a problem because there was obviously problems going on. But I feel like even from a young age, from like then, I was on different levels. I was on what I wanted to do and what I wanted to push out and doing what I wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? Out of the experience and the opportunity that my mum gave me, and she's working hard to put me in this school. So I'm gonna do something about it for myself, not for these people. I'm just gonna just, you know what I mean, play the game, get the auditions, get my experience out of it, because that's what's necessary for me. You know what I mean, for where I want to go and what dream I want to get.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the funny thing about like the four of us, and I think the reason why when I talk to you guys, I always feel like a lot of what you guys say resonates with me is because I think we all have this very similar kind of outlook of, okay, cool. This is where it is. Let's take the situation, make the most out of the situation, grasp as much information as we can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but like let's just get what we need to get out of here and then bounce if we have to, if necessary. Just talking again, going off what you were saying, Kuan, like the main reason I brought the four of us in here is because we all do something that's creative for money, and we also are creative outside of like what we do for money. And I wanted you guys to just kind of give you guys the opportunity to talk about what you guys do as well to this, that on the side. What kind of drew you to doing that as well, and and that's kind of it. And just so what you enjoyed, what you do on the side, and what brought you towards doing that kind of thing. Let's go back around this way, circle back around.
all right, so I own a company called Track Out. We make clothes, we make music. We're a production company mainly, but the journey is been like quite a long journey to get there. It started in school, as what I was literally just talking about. I was doing something I loved, you know what I mean? I was getting people together. We were making videos, we were making like little movies in Hyde Park and stuff like that. We were making songs as well. And it was under a name called Same Beats Entertainment. And I feel like that was always my track out. You know what I mean? From day one, I've been doing what I'm doing now. I was just never serious about it.
Yeah.
But as I left school, I done music. I went into music college, and that was kind of like the production side where I started getting into the music side of things. And I started producing music for people. But when I was in college, I didn't really like the what they were offering me. I felt like I was learning what I was doing at home more than what my tutors were doing. So I dropped out of that after a year, and I feel like that year I dropped out, and I spent like a good year and a half of just doing my own thing, working on myself, working on my creative vibe. Was probably the most vital years I've ever had. And I wasn't really doing that much. Like I was smoking a lot, like I was drinking a lot, I was producing a lot, I was being very creative. And that kind of built my foundations of where I am today. So from there, I kind of got that gist, and I was like, okay, I need to put all of this into one thing. But for years I didn't find it. And as I was producing for people, I was making music, I was doing my thing. I didn't really have anything to tie myself down to, until I kind of just got a click in life, really. And a name came to me one day whilst I was producing a track. And that night I was producing that track, it was probably like one of my best nights I've ever produced a song. And I don't know what it was. It might have been the tone of the music. The vibe, the weed I don't know what it was.
Definitely Reece.
It might have been, but that night, that track just connected to me so well. And it was like that one piece of music explained the whole past of what was going on in my life through melody. And Track Out just came. And that was it. I literally started working on building that brand, thinking about what that brand was. At first it was a record label. So me and my boy Amari Lysite, shout out to Amari Lysite.
Big up Amari.
Because he's a big part to play in Track Out as well. We were making a lot of music, and you know what I mean, building that brand, building that sound as well that came with it. And then, long story short, years later, I've developed it into a full brand.
And what was the thinking behind going into the fashion side of things? Where did you?
So I've always wanted to I've always been making sort of like clothes, like bleaching clothes and stuff like that. I also went to art college as well, and whilst I was there, I was dealing with a lot of like mediums and just loads of stuff, creative stuff. So I always knew I wanted to put my art onto something. I don't know if that was like an installation sort of vibe, like an artistic installation, or if it was garms. But I was always just very interested in like night clothes and just how they look, tracksuits. And I knew I always needed to make a tracksuit. And as I had the name Track out, it just made sense for me to start with making tracksuits and something that related to the music as well, to the brand as well, that was visual. And that's what I'm trying to figure out now. Even to this day, it's something I'm still processing. Do you know what I mean? Like, how am I going to replicate the music in garms?
Yeah.
And that's going to build, do you know what I mean? As my creativity builds, that's going to build. I don't know where that's going to go. Because from when I started, wherever I started till now, it's been a whole journey.
It's a complete journey.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
man,
And Joanne, talk to me about Breathe Creative Space.
Breathe. Oh my gosh. So, Breathe Creative Space honestly began as an EP. So, I think I was a point in my life where I was just like, I wanted to really create a body of work. I've always been very like fascinated, but I just love performing. And music, for some reason, I was able to find a voice, a frequency that I've never been able to interact with before. Well, until then. So I think Breathe EP was the first time I was able to put together like a project on my own. I had like put in a few like years in like learning the programs. I had done my lot. I was like, I don't need anyone. Fuck you people. I can just make my shit. I'm just feeling like I could do it and put something out, you know, and get it done. Just made me feel like I could do anything. I was like, I remember as a kid, 7 years old, you know, just seeing all these artists have different things. I'm like, shit, like they probably have like a big team. They probably have like so many people supporting them getting shit done. And I think the funny thing is coming up with so much adversity made me realize you need to be your biggest team. So Breathe, the EP, had a lot to do with me being my biggest team player, and it was legit love songs to myself.
Cool.
People were like, "Oh, who did you write about?" I'm like, "Bitch, I wasn't dating anyone,
motherfucker." Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah. I like
and that's the truth. And people, I remember a lot of my friends were like, "Oh, the music is so slow," and then I was like, "That's it. I gonna juice shit."
Yeah.
So Breeze started as an EP, and then from that moment, and me realizing what I can do with something that's creative, I can actually turn it into a product. I was like, I don't want it to just be an EP. And I remember it was always lingering in my mind, and it would come up all the time. The word would always come up. Or even after I released the EP, I was like, nah, I definitely want to turn this into a brand.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was already living that brand because I was already on that journey of self discovery and just really like understanding what it means to be abundant and what it means to manifest and what it means to be peaceful, but to also be at peace with yourself. And I think over the years, because I was also at university at the time, learning different things, different traits, working with different brands, eventually I was like, I just gonna just keep flowing and doing different things. Eventually I was able to take it from something that was merely just creative and just musical, to be quite honest. And in lockdown was when I actually pushed it a bit further, and I was like, I want to be able to create something that people can have in their homes, in their spaces, like something that they could hold, and not something that they could just hear. I realized that my reasons for being here on Earth was really more than just making music. Like, it's something that I love, but I can do so much more. And I didn't mind my brand evolving as I evolved. So I was like, fuck it. Like, I remember lockdown came, and I've always been into the healing arts. I've always been into like massage therapy and meditation and just learning about astrology and all these different things. And I was like, I don't know how I don't really want to sit down and teach people about astrology. I don't think I know it that great. I know enough for myself. But, you know, there's just certain things that, you know, even that I still think there are things even now I'm like, I see my brand reaching certain spaces, but I enjoy the journey of it. So at that time, it was locked down, and I was like, you know what, people need some light. and I started to make candles.
Bars.
I started to make
Love
candles.
to drop a bar.
And I honestly feel like that was such a... I felt like a child again. I felt like I was in a playground. I was making shit.
There's something about really like creating just for yourself, isn't there? When you're
Yeah.
really creating for your own thing, like even if it's like stressful to get it over the line and get it done,
Mm-hmm.
it's still a really enjoyable moment, no matter what, because it's what you want to do, and you're doing it for you, and you're doing it for like whoever the fuck wants to come and be a part of this thing.
And that shit was lit. Like, I remember I had my doubts at first, obviously. But then I realized, I was like, yo, I made the first batch. Legit, it was just 70 candles. But it sold out in less than a week. Like, people loved them. And I think it allowed me to see so much more for myself. And it made me realize, yo, like, I never limited myself again. Not that I was, but sometimes you get a bit comfortable, you know? So that really pushed me out of my box, because as much as I'm a social being, sometimes being in front of people all the time and being that salesperson, I could do it really good, but it takes a lot of energy out of me.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that that's what I was able to do at that time. So full creative and healing art brand is what Breathe is and what it stands for. All right, give me a minute. I'm not gonna lie. The last year has been such a transition for me that I think a bit of the brand has felt it. But there's something that, again, I've really accepted that the process means a lot for me, and that the times of calm are just as important as the times of chaos or times of rapid transitions. Like, it's all a part of it, you know. I don't fear anything, and if anything, I've been able to, again, really come back home and figure out where I want to take it next, which is why I think it's interesting for me as a creative entrepreneur and one who does it with their own hands and their own feet, like most of us. I think you get the opportunity to really flow and expand in a way that many other people might not be able to, because they're so stuck on something. Maybe they might achieve that thing quicker, but I think when you have the ability to adapt and to expand, I feel like that really benefits your creative brand a lot more, because in the times where you just like, I don't know if I could complete this, or I don't know if I could figure this out, you could try something else. You could figure out another way of saying what you want to say, you know? So many people from those candles then started to really invest in astrology. I remember people actually were like, okay, I want the Jupiter because the Jupiter was for this zodiac sign or that zodiac sign. There was a lot of different things. And from that came conversation. And I remember there was the great conjunction that happened around that time. It was like the 21st of December. And as I was selling these candles, I was talking to people about the great conjunction. Like, I am some apostle.
Yeah.
You understand? Because for me, I'm like, influence and change. As much as it's happening in my life, I want it to happen for people as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's important though as well. Reece, Silver Cactus, he's just got his microphone.
You want to though, you can have to.
So you started, that was the lockdown. Started around that time, right?
But yeah, just before I get onto that, I think it was just so nice to listen to everyone speak.
Just watch it, yeah.
Because I think, especially like Kuan,
Just watch again. Just it's the this side, yeah, where it's showing there.
yeah. So for Kuan, like when I was in school and stuff, like track out. To be fair, like I thought, when was it called track out? What year was it that you called it track out?
Like 2016.
Yeah, because it felt early.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it's been track out for time. But I think definitely like watching you in school, you were so creative and you was able to use your child
You
career.
just need to tilt the thing. It's just
Like
the
this.
other way. Yeah, so it needs to be this part. Yeah, the flat part in.
So yeah, for like I think you was able to use your child performing and everything, and then kind of navigate and shift that to your own work. And as like, it was inspiring to see. Because there wasn't any young black boys in school who was already thinking entrepreneurial. And I remember being that age and knowing, like, when I was in spaces, I knew that I had potential that was wider than this, but I just couldn't work out what my voice was. But it was definitely seeing people like you who was able to kind of start a ball rolling of something to kind of give a lot of us the kind of hope that actually, you know what, yeah, like we are more than what the system is teaching us. So yeah, I think I'm really, really grateful for your journey as well, seeing that. And as well, same for you. And I think it's just so beautiful to see how you said, like, your brand is something that you don't see. You're not watching where it's going, but you're watching it and kind of creating it, and how it evolves is like the main thing. So I think it's just inspiring to hear. And then, you know, when I speak about the brand, I'm trying to think about it honestly. Is it not working?
Yes, it's saying so many good shit, so much good shit, bro. I'm like,
What's on this
Is this
side?
one better?
maybe it was the wrong way.
Okay.
Try again.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hold it close.
Yeah, it's because you got a deep ass voice. You're giving it like the smooth
The
talking
podcast voice.
Put on your podcast.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, when I think about Silver Cactus, like, I've got to speak honestly about it and not just like this idolized like version of it. But right now, like, the company started in 2020, and for me, Silver Cactus is about, what is it about? Silver Cactus for me is truthfully about being able to tell a story in a way that's personal. And I think I have a different outlook through my life experience and what I've gone through. I truly believe that my perspective is different, and my perspective can say something and touch people. And right now, it's just an essence that you feel from my videos that I think is the brand. Like Silver Cactus right now, there's an essence about how I edit and how I work that I think will resonate with people. But my goal for this period of my life in the next year or so is to be able to share specific corners of myself that I know that people will see and hear. Like, and I just would love for people in film to have a wire to kind of say something to the audience, because you can't always speak to people how you feel, or like, you know, I want there to be a way for us to be able to kind of tell a story through honestly, and being, audiences being able to kind of understand that. So that's the
Was there
hopes, yeah.
any filmmakers that you look at now and you're like, no, actually, let me ask a question before. Were you always like with cameras when you were like young, or was it just something that like you started doing like in lockdown because it was something that like just suddenly interested you?
So back in 2018, I was doing a lot of kind of choreography and things like this.
Okay.
And I was living with a housemate who was into film. So he was filming all of my videos. And I'll sit with him and just edit it with him. But at that point, I wasn't thinking about it. But
Yeah.
I really loved it. Like, I remember just kind of editing with him and being like, fuck, like, put that there. And then just a slight shift of an edit makes things land so differently. And I was like, oh, that's sick. And I think it was just a natural progression. Like, the first time I kind of filmed properly was like, I was filming on my phone and I was filming things for little things, but truthfully, I can't remember when the spark was. But there was one time when I was filming with my best friend and I was filming on my phone, and we was filming throughout the whole day just to kind of have some fun. And the last shot that we did in the day was she was stood on a wall and the wind was blowing. It was just right in front of Southend Beach. And the wall had graffiti on it and the sky was just so beautiful. It was like a teal blue. It was just about to go to sunset and there was this beautiful pink stripe going through the sky. And she was dancing and I was underneath her and I was looking up her. And then I just burst into tears because the shot was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? And then she looked at me like, Reece, why are you crying? And I was like, I don't know. I physically don't know why I'm crying.
Yeah.
And I think that was the kind of thing of like, maybe this
There's
is...
the spark.
Yeah.
So
actually.
funny when you started talking about editing, a thought crossed my mind. Obviously you're a dancer. Well, it's not obvious. He's just a very good looking guy, but he's a dancer. Do you think maybe in like some ways, like the fact that you're multi-talented and you have these other avenues, which I'm going to go on to in a second with everyone, do you think you almost like edit in the same way that you dance, in that you might, okay, so the move's on 8, but if I just hang a little bit more before I hit that 8, it's going to feel a bit better, and it's just going to hit slightly different to what everyone else is doing. Because that's what, like when I've been asked to dance for some weird reason, that's always kind of how I feel about things, like especially dancing wise, and I like feel about finding individuality. And it's funny how when you were talking about editing, that was kind of the first thing that popped into your mind as something that kind of drew you in, is the way that like if you do something slightly different, or just like that little bit later or that bit earlier, or just let's change the angle of that slightly, that it has an effect. Do you reckon that kind of comes from dance in a way, or do you?
Yeah, I think definitely like dance gives you that kind of vocabulary to like hear the music and like know where you want to put things. And I think definitely music really influences it. But yeah, trying to answer the question, I kind of forgot it. But what was the question?
No, sorry, I'm saying, do you think that the way you edit is similar in like the way you dance as well? Do you think there's any similarities or like parallels that you could draw from that?
I think so. I think there's actually things in editing that I can say more so than dancing. Sometimes I feel quite stuck when I'm kind of freestyling or something. Whereas with music, you have a visual like see of like how you want it to be. And it is really, really crucial. I think sometimes what can hinder you though, sometimes when I'm editing, is realizing, especially when I'm doing dances, is that I can't always cut on the beat because the choreographer has probably done something on the beat that is seen. So sometimes as an editor, I've got to be like, right,
how do I edit this the right way?
Yeah.
So it ends the right way.
Exactly, because you can do it from my point of view, which is like cut on the beat. But then if he's doing something on the beat, then I've just kind of missed that.
Yeah.
So sometimes you've got to think a bit outside of the box with
it's
it.
like preempting the cut, maybe cutting a bit
Yeah.
earlier so that you get that in a different.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. We were just talking, like, the reason I brought up these, I asked you to talk about what you do for money and what you do like separately, like as your own personal thing. I think the general thing of the mics is just to keep the sub-zero facing towards you.
Yeah.
I think that's where you get the best sound.
Mhm.
I try and keep it up flat like that way, so that is like on your mouth. But
Yeah.
because that was really good sound just then, that was really consistent when we got it going. The reason I brought up those two things was because I wanted to maybe touch on this idea that like, well, the difference between like freelancing and like what freelancing can be. Because I think a lot of us, all of us here, we are freelancers who are under contract elsewhere, but you can still find ways in order to be creative yourself. I think this kind of generally, this episode kind of feels like one for the people who are self-employed right now, and showing them that you don't have to just stick to what you're contracted to do. You can absolutely do that if life is choices, do what you want. But I'm just kind of, for anyone who feels like they feel like they're slightly holding themselves back, or anyone that feels like there's other avenues they want to pursue, you have to bet on yourself. And if you're in a position where you're lucky enough to be like us, where we can fund things from doing freelance things that we enjoy doing as well, it pays the bills. Sometimes you enjoy it, sometimes you don't, depending on the job. But as long as you're in a situation where you can pay your bills and you can take care of everything, why not find some other avenue that you enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a lot of trial and error. Like for me, like this whole thing, like this was originally a record label, but like only because I wanted to drop my stuff independently by myself and it had to be mine. And then it was like, oh, okay, now it's a production company under a different name. Okay, and then it was like, okay, I just want to do a podcast. Okay, now I want to do clothes. So now it's just finding a way to, for me, it was like, I just found like, I think something that I forgot about myself is that I know a lot, my fingers are in a lot of different things. Like when I used to describe myself, it was like, oh yeah, I act, I sing, I dance, I rap, I direct, I produce shows. Like these are the things that I've done growing up before 18. So it was like, what am I gonna do? Like, and it just kind of, I started pigeonholing myself. But actually, I've realized that I can do all of this stuff if as long as I'm in control of it.
Exactly.
Like, and it's not about, and it's less about the end product anymore. For me. It was, I think the thing that always holds me back is always thinking about the end product, and it's not gonna be perfect yet. And so I can't do it until it's perfect. So I wait and I wait and I wait. But actually, the longer you wait, the longer it's going to take, and you're going to miss the boat. So like this is the thing, like GVO Entertainment is literally just good vibes only, whatever. This is a YouTube channel, it's a production company. We're going to have podcasts like this. We're going to have different kinds of shows. A lot of stuff on YouTube. I want it to really feel like a television program, like a channel. If you turn on BBC One, you've got a shitload of stuff. That's what this is going to be. And yeah, just more stuff like this. But yeah, I wanted to talk about do you feel that it was important for you guys personally to have a creative avenue outside of what you do for money, or was it just kind of like something that just kind of happened?
Oh, definitely. I resonate with what you said before though a lot. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I do not like the idea of
working for someone for the rest of your life, having to answer to someone for the rest of your life.
No.
I'm the same.
I don't mind it. I can do it very well. Here's the thing: I'm a Capricorn sun, so I actually feel like I have the best or the better. I'll say the best, sorry, but I have really good qualities when it comes to working in a workspace. But I also am an Aquarius rising, so I absolutely sometimes cannot tolerate structure or other people's authority for too long. Not that I don't know how to abide by it, but I see how it eventually takes away from what I want to do. So I think my challenge have always been trying to find a balance. And I think learning also how to navigate myself around, jobs or working for other people. And it's been a challenge, I'm not going to lie. I think for me, it's been the deepest challenge because on top of it being a personality challenge or a goal-oriented challenge, it's also been something as literal as me not being able to have certain resources because I'm a Barbadian citizen. And it makes me have to then think, okay, if I do get a job, whereas I could make money and be in a space where I could do other things, I might run myself into a position where I actually can't, because in order for me to even get that job, it means I have to mostly be sponsored, and most of the sponsorships that come with these type of opportunities is restricted to that job most of the time. So I think my challenge then became, how do I get myself to a place where I could be beyond independent in that sense, where I'm not tied to a job. And I think there's advantages for other people. Like some people, not even necessarily based on where you live or what citizenship you have, but also on the type of job that you have. I think, I try to be very wise with what I get myself involved with, because I don't want it to take away from what I want to do. The truth is, we should all be able to be creative entrepreneurs and not feel like we need to do anything else. We should be making from what the world that we live in has not, we haven't really built towards that type of
Society.
society and substance, is
within our own community.
Exactly, especially the black community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, the Jews taking over. I know I don't want to listen to Kanye. I mean, I can't always listen to him either. But there's some truth there. We work really hard, and we can, but we do work really hard to get what we have to get because of certain inabilities. But with that said, I think that is why the passion is so much in me, to make sure that no matter what, I still going after what I need to go after for myself. And that I could create flows and avenues of income that flows directly back to me. Because I think that for me is necessary. Would I still be able to work in a space for other people? Of course, because I do and I can. I just think it just needs to serve. It needs to serve me, completely. And then goes back to the idea of, if I feel restricted in any way, I can't create.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily need to be in a situation that is the most free, but I just need to not feel restricted. Yeah. And I think that energy is something that I've battled with in my own personal life. Restriction makes me feel like I just lose my shit. So maybe that's why I make the choices that I make, and I take the risks that I take, because I know it's going to lead me closer to the life that I actually would prefer.
Yeah.
So definitely, I'm not the most I'm not the most like, I'm not like a complete rebel to the workspace or to authority or whatever. But I do know that the energy and the value that we bring to this world, it requires a certain amount of work hours as well. And I just had to sometimes make a decision as to, am I willing to learn because I'm working with someone else, or am I open to just execution and executing what it is I want? Sometimes I can't do both, so sometimes I have to choose.
Yeah, exactly. It's doing the right thing.
Mhm.
Same question to you guys as well. Do you think, how important has it been for you guys to find something external to be, in order to be creative? Like what, like I feel like I've completely resonated with what you say sometimes. Like I find like for me to be able to be in a space where I work with authority and can be fine with it the whole time, I need to be creative in other ways. I need to find outlets. I don't know if you guys resonate with that at all.
Yeah, I feel like we don't realize how much we need it. Like from what's going on around us. Like personally, I think mine's like physically and mentally. Like I need to be doing something if I'm involved with something. Period. Anyway, but especially if I'm involved and my time is getting, do you know what I mean? Like used
Being taken
somewhere.
away. Yeah.
Like I need to be doing something on the side just for my mental health. Like just to keep me sane, just to keep my brain active, to keep my creative patterns active. Like if I'm not doing that, I'm not being stimulated at all. Like, and I've been through that where I've felt that, do you know what I mean? Like in other jobs that I've done when I've lacked a bit and it's taken away my time and it's taken away certain aspects that I can't create in a way that my mind's just gotten lost in there. It's hard to get back into that, do you know what I mean? Like it's a whole mission to get your whole body into that. Like, so yeah, for me, it's super important to stay active and to stay, yeah, man, just to stay
Consistent.
creative and consistent throughout anything. Yeah, it just means a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like, as creatives, we just need that. We need to just stay consistent. Like, yeah, like, so yeah.
I think it's the same. Like I think I find that like when I don't have something going on, like I don't enter this kind of meditative space of like being able to switch off. Because I think for me, like being in a job or whatever, it just doesn't feed you how you want to be fed. So I think being able to go home to something, but I just think like I find it hard with our timetable. I just find it just like when I wake up in the morning, I thought, well, at the minute, it might just be because I'm a bit kind of motivated, but I just have no energy. And like when I'm sat at my laptop, like I just don't feel like it's flowing.
No, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
In that situation, it just feels like we're just being, like right now, it's just quite worn down. It's just fatigue.
I
A
feel
lot
like,
of it is
yeah,
fatigue. And I think sometimes it's like accountability. Like I know for me, like I don't go to sleep I don't sleep much. But it's like, yeah, but we do so much stuff. We do so much work, working all the time, and we get like the day. What are you going to do in the day? In that day, you kind of got to do your laundry, food shop, everything. Everything's got to be done by the end of that day. And if it's not done by the end of that day, good luck finding the right time in the week, like if you've not got anything else on. So like Monday usually just becomes a day of sleeping. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, this is why now Mondays, this is where we do it. This is why I bring people in and we talk now. Things to plug because it's getting towards that time. Things I need to plug. Me and Kuan got an album out.
Yeah.
Elso and Shak, Mancel, James. Sessions after work.
Sessions after work.
It's on Spotify, Apple Music. All the links for everything's going to be in the description as well. Everything that we talk about here, there's going to be a link to that. All the Instagrams are our personal Instagrams if you want them out there. And our business Instagrams will be out there on the screen as well. But yeah, so yeah, Sessions After Work came out. I wanted to talk about that real quickly because, like, you're involved in it, obviously. You're involved in it. You've listened to it. And just kind of generally, like, I think, like, I want to clip this up as well and have this done for a promo for the album. I wanted to say, firstly, I have to thank you mainly more than anything because when I wanted to make music and I had there was no one there that was willing to kind of like give me the time. Like I lived with someone who had his own like studio in his room, but was too busy to ever like just set aside like an hour, 2 hours for me to just like, oh, I just want to rap on this beat. I've got the beat. You don't have to make the beat. I've got this beat. I want to rap. Yeah, cool. We'll do it. Just put it off. And then we just got back in touch recently because we just found out that we'd be working together. And I was like, oh, I clocked on that he does music and stuff. I just mentioned that I wanted to start doing music as well. He's like, oh yeah, come through. And like, it was like that simple. And like, this is someone that like, obviously we knew each other when we were young, but there was no contact between that time and then. Like, I think we spoke once when I was on tour. I think we just reconnected then. That was one conversation done. And then now we're working together, and it was just like as simple as, yeah, just come over. And it was done. And I have to say it says I have to say thank you for that, because it showed me a lot about you very quickly, about the kind of man you are and the kind of person you are. And like, I think at the bottom of everything, you just want to, if you're going to be creative with like someone like you, I think it's just the genuineness that you require. And I really like that from you. And I appreciate that from you. And that's why I'm so big on like anything that you do track out wise. I'm like, I'm on it. Like, if you need me, I'm there. Like, do it. I happily do it, because it's just like, that's the vibe. But yeah, this whole thing like came by accident. I don't know, like, if I want to talk about track for track, or if I want to just go through like favorites. Reece, you've heard the album. Talk to me about how you found it. And you can say, if you thought it was shit, you can say it was shit as well. Just know,
trust me, say it.
Good luck getting back home. One stretch of seconds, you know.
I liked it. I think for me, listening to it from start to finish, I can feel the journey, and I can sense you guys as artists, and it felt really authentic, and I feel like you gelled together as artists, because I would have thought, because you never know, like, with everybody trying to be on the ground and trying to work their way up, you just never know how the dynamics are going to be when it comes to like creating music together.
Yeah.
Whereas it felt really, really honest. You know, I've told you my favorite songs on the track, and some of them are bops, and then I feel like for me the beats are so they're so different as well. But my favorite one is
3 a.m.
3 a.m. Yeah, 100%.
It's
It's just such a nice beat, and I think even I saw a little sneak preview of the kind of music video, and it felt like, I said to Shak, it felt like that it was the beginning story of potential legends. It had that very authentic, raw, playful energy that when you trace back, if you was to trace back,
yeah, like Biggie's first video.
yeah,
like,
all the way back, you would see something like this. So I just
dope.
think it's really important to just kind of keep on that journey. But I would ask, like, how is it to be in a space, because music is so subjective, and music and the vibe is so subjective as well. You can place anything in a different place and it will hit somebody else's heart differently. So how is it like being so many creatives in one space? Was it easy?
We can talk about this directly because of Sunrise, and like Joanne, you're on Sunrise as well. And like, I've always, one thing me and Joanne have always kind of agreed on with each other is that like, it's always just felt easy. Like, no matter what it was, like in terms of like songwriting and lyrics writing together, it's just never been a stress thing. It's just always been like, okay, what do you want to do? Okay, cool. I'm thinking do this.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. Cool, let's just bang it out. And then like, I think you just mix that kind of like the two different energies we were talking about earlier, and then with Kuan's just like general genius. I think the way that Kuan produces is almost like the way that
It's inviting as fuck.
yeah, and it's
Like, it's inviting as fuck.
yeah, and but he writes in the way he writes music in the way that like a screenwriter writes films.
Yeah.
There's always a through line throughout it, and as long as you clock onto what that is, you can make a good song as a lyricist. Like,
Yeah, it's very thematic, and I think that's what I love about these guys, and that's what makes it easy. Is that we're not just creative. Sorry, as well as about these
it's
guys.
actually a good sound.
Yeah, it's not that we're just creative, but I think the fact that we utilize the creative and energy in different ways, and you have this ability to create a sense of, as I said, like theme and direction. You have this ability to create interesting detail, and I have this ability to create nice melody and fluff. When you bring that together, I think it really brings a nice harmony. And I think one of my biggest insecurities, especially working with other artists, was I I'm not the type. I don't think I'm not the type. I'm not hardcore like this guy, and I don't think I ever want to be. 'Cause I think the energy is so fresh and it's so uniquely him that even the type of hardcore energy that Kuan brings, it's not even the same as him. And then after all of my fluff and bluff, people that message me and be like, "These words are so simple, but yet it hit me." And I'm like,
Just
"Oh,
say that one more time.
yeah." After all of my fluff and puff and luff, people then hit me up like, "Yo, these words are so simple, but it's very specific." And then I realized why it worked is because we all see value in what we do. It's just in different ways. So, and never allowing at any moment each other to, see yourself as anything else lower, I think is also what kept the energy going up. And I know, man, I just think it was too easy. It was too beautiful. And on top of that, we all were able to find a commonality. I think the thing about this collaboration, maybe you guys more than me, because it was there for one song, but I felt like I've been there for other sessions, you know what I mean? And so I think I got to experience the album in a different way, because before I heard what everyone else is hearing.
2 songs, by the way, Roses as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Roses is a whole. We'll get back onto that actually, because that's a really interesting one to talk about.
It was from the perspective of I have something in me that I want to say. I have something that I want to release. How can we support each other as 3 black men? I think that was the most profound thing for me, and it was powerful. And it was also us realizing that we need to support each other in being able to go after what we want. We can't just keep sitting down saying we're tired, we're not able to get things done. Or we can't just keep saying, "Oh, no one wants to work with me. No one has given me the chance." We can't just keep saying, "Oh, I have a bunch of music and it's not released." I think we had the chance to be like, "So what are we gonna do about it?" And some songs really worked, and then they had a few moments where we just was like, "Okay, let me just smoke a spliff." We smoke a spliff, we get back to it. We was like, "Okay, shit, this is what we want to do," or I saw them go through that process as well, which was beautiful. So I think the project in itself is the definition of going outside the box, collaborating, and also being able to see each other for who you are. And I think once you see the value in what's around you, then you could also attract more abundance and attract more value. So I think I agree. Going back, 10 years from now, looking back at this project, I think I too are going to be like, shit, we actually did that.
Yeah, that was a whole.
We actually did that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I look forward to that. No, I don't look forward to that, but I look forward to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At the same time, yeah.
Yeah.
Kuan, what do you feel? What did obviously like? I think for both of us, the whole experience is very weird because it was just never meant to be an album.
Yeah.
But what has this like process been like for you? Do you feel like? Because I feel like sometimes when I listen to like Whoa, which is like the first thing we did, I think. Is that the first track we recorded? Whoa, we'll say it. One of those two.
Whoa.
I think it was Whoa, innit? Because that come out. Yeah, because it come out like February or something. I listened to Whoa, and then I listened to like 3 a.m. in South London. Or I listened to like Whoa, and I listened to like Rollin', for example, because they've got similar sounds. I just feel like there's such a progression in just a year for both of us in terms of like the way you make music, the way you rap on beats, the way I think I just kind of was just going like for ages, and like just starting to slow it down. Like I think listening to the album back now, I'm like, I'm quite happy that felt like every song was just like let's try this, as opposed to like, okay, we're gonna sit down and make an album. But like, how was the process for you?
Yeah, it was like a development, man. Like I felt like each track was like a lesson. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like we worked on the track, but the track was the project. And then once we finished that track, it was like the next project.
Yeah.
Like each track was like that. And like for example, like we had tracks like for example like Roses.
Yeah.
That track was like made like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But then we brought that back and we made something new out of it. And
That was like the first thing you'd ever played. That
Exactly.
I like really like remember, like stark remember.
Yeah.
Because when I went to Kuan's and recorded I recorded on bloody Vossi Bop beat, and I recorded on that jazz beat that you had.
yeah.
Honestly, if I listen back to those, I think Vossi Bop was actually kind of cold.
Vossi Bop was cold.
Vossi Bop was cold, but the other one I was like, oh, I'm not sure if that can ever see the light of day still. But yeah, I remember so distinctly you playing this song, and it's like, oh, by me and the guys from Lion King, and we worked on this thing, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. So like, I definitely made it a goal of mine to help you finish that song.
Yeah.
So that I'm really happy that it found its place on the album. But yeah, sorry, I cut you off.
But yeah, man, like the experience as a whole it's been a development, I think, and we've been growing throughout each track. I also feel like we've created like a vibe in this album, where it's not a vibe, like it's a vibe in an era that like is being stamped now. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what the album feels like. It's like I'm gonna remember everything that's happened in this time of life, like everything that we've gone through.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As knowing each other through that album, because in the time that we first recorded the song to like we ended it, there's been so much shit. But it's like that's just captured everything through emotion and melody.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Especially like us doing it as well, like just that being an album that we can say, yeah, that's done.
Yeah.
And how the tracks are, the stuff we're saying in the music, how it's going, it's just captured so nicely.
Yeah,
you know
for sure.
So, yeah, man, I just love the album, bro. It's
dope.
like literally one of my favorite, probably my favorite project to date, 100%.
Come on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna so basically so you can find Sessions After Work everywhere online now. Everywhere. If you go on our Instagrams, you'll see it everywhere. The video for Say It, our second track of the album, will be out by now, so go on. The link will be in the description as well. What else was I gonna say? Something to do with before we close it off, because everyone's heard it, you might not remember all the names of the tracks or anything, but you can just give us a little rhythm as well. Favorite 3 tracks off the album. I'm gonna start. Don't have to be in any order. Yeah, no, not in any order, because I'll be here for ages. But mine are very specific for very specific reasons. Daydream to me is like the sleeping giant of the whole album. In that when we first recorded Daydream, I wasn't even sure about putting it on. So I was like, oh, okay, so it's a track. It was just something we did. I think I wasn't too happy with the verse I'd done at the time, because I just kind of like just saying how I felt and just like letting it out, and then like at the end I was like, okay, let's just kill him with some technical shit at the end and just start rapping really fast at the end. And I just thought it was like, for me it felt like a bit meh, but then the more and more I listened to that track, it's such a good track. And like this is where I came up with this thing of like, he produces like a screenwriter, and like it has such a start and it builds into something more than like, just as you feel like it's about to end, it slows down and comes back in, and then it fades away. And I just think there's so much going on in that track. The vocal melodies, the harmonies in it, I think it's just a really well put together track, and I didn't notice it at the time. My other one is Rolling, because that's just like, to me, that's like my baby. I love that song so much. Like, I fought so hard to make sure that no one else was on that track, bro. when we were doing it, I was like, yeah, we want to get someone else, get Dwayne or get someone else. And there's nothing about anyone else. I'm just like, nah. I was like, this song has to go a certain way. And I was literally like, let me write something, and if you like it, we'll do it. And I wrote like half the second verse, and then the way you produced the last verse with the surround sound is just it feels so, that's so track out. That whole song it's extremely track out. It feels really track out. And I think also I think it's one of the songs that I think from a writing perspective, I think that's probably one of my most complete verses that I did. Like the fact that like you finish your line, it goes, I jumped on the 250, I'm hype, and then mine starts on Awake at 250, still high. just like that those little things there. And
Flows.
the video for that is going to be crazy, by the way.
Crazy.
We've been talking about it for the past like week and a half. That video is going to be stupid. And then my last one is definitely Sunrise, because it's from when we first did it in like March, I think. I want to say March, because it was before my birthday. That song is just, it's always, I played it almost every day. Like, if it was like Spotify Wrapped, including the shit that you had in the vault, that would have been clear first, because I used to listen to that song to motivate me to get through the day. I used to listen to that song before I went to bed. I used to listen to that song in the summer when it was raining. That song just played whenever, and I think the whole thing just came at such a perfect time. I think the three of us as well, like, have gone through like such dramatic changes and like moments at that point. So when we like writing that song was therapeutic to me in a sense. Like a lot. I think I dealt with a lot of shit by making that verse and just speaking about how I was feeling, and then giving the people motivation at the end of the verse, but actually inadvertently by doing that motivating myself to be more. But yeah, those are my three, definitely. And yeah, for sure. Even though the rest are sick, but
Trust.
It's a bit difficult. I have issues finding favorites in things because I've learned to appreciate everything. But if it's based on what makes me tick, on what I've listened to the most, and what makes me, I have this thing like sometimes when I hear a song, I could hear it, but then a song goes into my subconscious as well, and it could be there forever. I'm not gonna lie, Sunrise is that song for me. Not because I'm on it, but even before I got on it, it was already that song.
do you remember what we listened to before to get that sound? Because I do. I think about that song all the time.
Hold on, give me 10 seconds. Wasn't it a song that I suggested as well?
Yeah.
Which is fucked because no.
It was "Come and See Me" by
Erica
Party
Badu
and Dre.
fucking out. Yes.
It was we Party Next Door and Drake. Come and See Me for once. And it was so funny that that song came from listening to that. It's completely different, but
it's, I don't know, the energy is there still.
mm-hmm.
I think I like art that moves and inspires and changes lives and all that shit. So Sunrise brought that type of energy for me. I have it on my own personal playlist and on my Spotify, and I just listen to it all the time, so it just comes up randomly. And every time it does, it makes me want to search my own heart even more. It just it gives me a sense of just a refreshing feeling, but it also gives me a burning desire to just like figure shit out. I just don't know. And then, I agree too, by the time it gets to the end of the song, it talks about never settling. I just remember the three of us. For some reason, I see us three in that studio, like from a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
And I just see us not settling and what that meant in that moment. And as the song fucking fades, it's like I feel so encouraged to keep moving on.
Yeah.
Wow. Will probably be my next song that I like, because it's just badass. It's just fucking, the sound about it is just, it's slight genius. I don't try not to give y'all too many points.
But again, it's the production.
I'm trying to divide it.
It's the production though. It's the way that the production goes.
And it goes back to how you allow for songwriting. Productions allow for, and I think it's the years of you putting in the work and working with other people, but most of all working with yourself. Creating that sound out of Traco. I think Traco is a very supportive brand. That's why you attract so much support. And you understand what it's like to support an artist musically. So yeah, that song really gives me a buzz because You're my guy. I love you. You know, like when I came to the UK, you were one of the guys that really like became like a brother to me and still is. So when you do great work, I get very fucking gassed. And I think that song was one of the songs that I was like, yeah, I want everyone to know that I know you. And then Rolling Again because it's just like similar vibes, but also exactly. And I hate the fact that I don't hate the fact. I like the fact that other people liked it, but I also wanted to be that guy because I feel like from the very first time I heard it, I didn't even know the name of the fucking song, and I think I tried to I think I tried to Shazam it. And I think you told me.
Yeah, it's a nice sauce.
I'm not even gonna lie. I think that was his song. There was some song that I definitely think it was fucking Rolling that caught me off guard, and I was like, Quan, you again found something. So, and you both, definitely found something, and I am grateful to be a part of it in such a small way, but still I feel like it's huge because this project has equally been very inspiring to me. Even moving on from where we were when we wrote that song, I'm not in that space anymore.
Yeah, same.
So, and for me to even listen to that song and to see how far we've all come, and for me to be here right now, can I just say for me to be here right now, like the last time I've actually been in London is like it was fucking August.
Yeah.
After I've been working and drilling my ass in this place, and not even knowing when I was gonna come back, and I feel it's very confirming, but also very reassuring to be here and to talk to you guys about this as well, because it reminds me of that feeling when we did Sunrise.
Yeah.
Legit. I don't think you realize, but from the time I came here, I just felt I was fine, and that was the same energy in the studio, like in between you recording and spitting bars. We was actually just talking about life and creating shit.
Just chilling. Yeah.
You know?
I think that's where a lot of the beauty comes from. It's just very. There's no pressure.
It's organic.
That's the important thing. And I think like even like we're talking about doing another one, like a second one at the end of next year. Like I'm fully down to do it, but I know at the same time, the feeling of that process won't be the same. In that, unless we just do it as we'll just do studio sessions and see what happens.
But it has to be because that's how that came.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the only way it can work.
And I think that's the lesson that we can't take away.
We can't do it in like, okay, we're just gonna, we'll record something on January, record something February. No, it has to just be like,
just keep working,
keep it real, and then like essentially just making a really nice playlist for the end of the year, based off all the shit that we've been throughout the year. Dope. I need your 3 favorites, and I need yours as well.
So my first one is Say It, and I feel like that is my favorite because I started that song in lockdown, at the beginning of lockdown. So that's ages ago. And I wrote the verse and recorded the verse in lockdown as well, and that was the track. So it was the instrumental and the first verse for about 2 years, just sitting on my laptop. So that one's special because it's like that track got brought back to life with Shak. Do you know what I mean? Like Shak literally brought that track back to life. Do you know what I mean? Putting his vocals on it, bringing that energy to the track. It kind of just, I got what was missing for all of those years, and it was such a relief once that track was completed because it was like I knew this track was something, but I needed someone to go on it, and Shak was the perfect person for that. So my second one is definitely Sunrise. I feel like these guys have explained it enough, but for me personally, that studio session was probably one of my favorite sessions ever. Like, I feel like we were all in sync, but we were all
on our
own vibe, like, and it was just crazy. Like, it
just feels like that's just a moment in time.
Yeah, like it's a blur. It was a blur. For me, it's a blur.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a blur.
Kuan did one of like the craziest fucking things I've ever seen someone do in a studio. Literally just ran off, like in the middle of the tune, look at the tune, just runs off and goes, oh no, I've got to bang this in there. Runs off, comes back with a glass bottle of ting, like a, like the bottle opener kind of things. and he's like listening. He's got the thing on his headphones, so we can't even hear what's going on. He put the bottle on the mic. He's sitting there waiting, nothing. He goes, and like the bottle goes open. He goes, yeah, that was perfect. That was perfect. Like, what the fuck? Then he plays it. Yeah. Then he plays it. Bad energy always inside. And it sounds so. It just sounds like a champagne bottle opening. It's just something just so perfect about that moment. It's just like that is. I think that moment for me encaptures the entirety of the whole project. It's just moments of just like realness. It's just real moments. It's just
in the moment.
In the moment. That is like the most creative thing I've ever seen anyone do.
When you listen back to that fucking, when you listen back, he's gonna play right now.
I'm not, bro.
You hear it, right? Listen, you need to put the audio into video. Listen, the moment was so brilliant because it was like we were so outside of the box. We said, fuck these programs, fuck this, fuck sampling, fuck everything. Let me see what is around me right now. You legit you took a fucking bottle. And I'm not gonna lie, that is one of my favorite moments of that song. Not even me.
Yeah.
I like the fact that every time I hear that moment, I remember how it was done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because this jackass decided he's gonna flick off a fucking cover of a bottle. It was lit.
Yeah.
And it was so in sync. And it wasn't like you had to do it again and again and again, or it failed. It just works.
Yeah. Trust me. You got any three? You got 3 tracks? If you don't know the names of them, that's fine. I'll just play them all.
I think definitely 3 a.m. For me, like listening to the album, I think that put my mind at ease. And it was just simple for me to just enjoy it, you know. And I think, Shak, what's the song where you have, be wary of the devil?
Oh, that's Sunrise. Sunrise, yeah.
I think that rap for me was so clear. Like it wasn't about trying to sound cool. It wasn't about anything other than you telling us.
That's what I'm saying about the moment. That's what I think. I think now when I'm rapping now, I think so much more about trying to capture that kind of, be in that kind of space. I think that's the one thing when I look at this album, this project back, I love the fact that it's not organized and it was just made of a thing. It was just like a thing that happened and it was great and we put it together and this is a fucking sick project. But I sometimes think that means my next time I do something and start a project of music, like even if it's just a couple singles, because I think my next thing might just be like I just drop in some singles, random singles. I want them to have a direction behind them, and I know that I can rap with a bit more direction. I think with this album, a lot of it was I'm hearing what comes before, and I'm gonna how do I complete this? How do I make this perfect? Like I think with Say It, when Kuan played me Say It, I remember the song that the lyric that really stuck in my head for ages was like fight for the team, fight for your rights, and just the way the chorus felt, and that's why the verse is just pretty much all about like doing stuff together and doing it for the long run, and it's like this together united we stand, divided we fall kind of thing. And that was I think a lot of the album felt to me like, how do I complete this track? How do I complete this track? I'm really looking forward to starting something from like scratch. Like I think Sunrise might be one of the only tracks, and Sunrise is the only track that we did that I hadn't heard the beat beforehand. It was kind of made and then we did it, whereas usually I get a lot of time to just sit on something, or I've got a verse that's come before. Yeah, we did it all.
Everything was done in the studio.
Yeah, everything was done all in the studio one time, which I think was profound about that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's all I was saying.
Sorry, and to take away from you anyway. So yeah, 3 a.m. Sunrise.
And I think for me, I liked Roses as well, like because it just broke it up for me.
Yeah.
And hearing Rashawn on it.
Yeah.
But
That's Rashawn, by the way.
Yeah. But the whole album is so consistent.
Feel with autotune.
You know, it's really easy to just like everything from it. So I think definitely for this album, like
you can't just pick it up each song, like hearing the journey, and also how you rounded it up as well.
Yeah.
It felt really like, it did feel like the morning.
Yeah.
Because it kind of brought back down
Gets
again.
you right back, yeah.
Yeah, and
I think that's the
nice.
thing, and that like we spent so long like with like the order of the album, how we're gonna do it, and I think that's just what it was. It was like, okay, this is gonna be the last thing I say, then we'll wrap up. It was really much like the whole album was like, okay, first, whoa, it's been out the longest. Let's just have it out there. It's a good start as well. The way it feels like almost like the beginning of the day, almost. And then you've got Say It, which is it's a song about togetherness and being together, and that and like one thing you'll notice with the whole project almost is that there's a lot of talk of working throughout the night and just carrying on and keeping going, and the grind is important. So yeah, let's say it's there, and those are the two like probably the most upbeat songs. Then it was like, okay, Roses needs to come in now, and it almost serves as like a nice interlude where we get into like a slightly alternative hip hop sound. So like this nice R&B tracks there, it kind of like, it's almost like a what do they call it, a palette a palette refreshener, I guess, or like just like a neutralizer. So you go back to, and then you've got Daydream, which again I think this is one of the craziest sound experiences anyone can ever sit through, especially when you hear it the first time. I think the Sunrise after Daydream, again, the way that Daydream fades out and Sunrise almost fades back in, and it's just got really good, the feeling behind that, it just is brilliant. I think Sunrise sometimes is like if you're looking at like, I can only say it from like a musical theatre standpoint, but it's like that the song that like the leading lady would sing, the ballad, the important moment, or that song. It's that song that's really important, what it's all about. And then you go to Rollin', which is like the 11 o'clock number, the number that everyone's gonna get upbeat for. The like we're saying, like I think the most complete track out sound in terms of like just, it's got everything from every other track. 3 a.m. was originally meant to be an outro for the album. So it was meant to be a bonus track. It was meant to be a bonus track. And then we recorded through the night whilst we were getting this album together. And it was just like, yeah, this has to be there. So then I put in a different ending to 3 a.m., which is just me talking shit about saying doing sessions after work and stuff. Just that's how you tie up the main part of the album. That's how it finishes. Then you've got a bonus song Through the Night, which is essentially just kind of encapsulates how we even got into this position. The fact that like the whole thing's called Sessions After Work. It's like the song almost feels like sometimes for me, if you were to go into our brains while we were making a song. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I fully get that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's going to be sick, and the live shows are going to be lit. I can't wait to do some of this stuff live, man. The first time we'll be doing something live will be in December the 22nd at Freedom Bar, Soho. We'll be doing 2 songs from there, maybe 3, maybe 4, who knows. But yeah, and then next January, date to be confirmed, we're going to be working on that as well. Thank you guys very much for joining the first GVO podcast episode. I want to thank you guys as well for sharing the space. I'm really happy that like the first time we've seen each other in ages is in something that for me is quite a big thing, and like I'm really happy.
We're always doing something out of this world,
always
man.
doing extra
This
shit.
makes me
That's
just
how it's
excited not to see you again.
Trust
Because
me.
when I see you again, they're probably in another country.
Do you get it?
I've been getting it, bro. Okay.
Come on. Yeah, make sure you like, subscribe. Please donate to the Cash App if you can, even if it's £1.50. Every little helps. We're just trying to get this. If you want to see it like this as much as possible, we need your help. If not, it's going to be a lot of what they call Riverside FM, pretty much Zoom podcast. The content's still going to be great, but we want it to be perfect for you every time. Yeah, so no matter what they say, it's GVO all day. Peace. Nice one.
Yes.
Yeah. Come on. Yo, people, thank you so much for watching this episode. Please make sure that you buy your GVO Entertainment merch. We've got some nice little bags here. You can get them black and white. I'll probably get the black ones. I'm not too sure on the white sample. Wasn't too keen on it. But yeah, there you go. There's one there. We've also got T-shirts. You may have seen it was a pillow, but actually it's a T-shirt. We're selling these T-shirts as well. They're like 30 quid. Really nice, really fashionable. All them nice things there. we could go onto the track, not the track out, but they are the GVO Entertainment. That's GVO.Entertainment UK on Instagram. The link will be in the description below. Come get your merch, man. GVO all day.